The Rams have informed Cooper Kupp that they will be releasing him, and Cooper Kupp reacts to the news. Also, what will the Rams do at the linebacker position? And Jimmy G is back as the backup. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, join the party, the fastest growing Rams YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Also, I want all of your comments. What is your reaction to the Cooper Kupp news? Let me know down below. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. Today I'm flying solo. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, will be back tomorrow. But we've got a jam-packed show. We finally got the news we've been dreading, knowing it's coming, about Cooper Kupp, and we'll talk about the Cooper Kupp decision, what it'll mean for the Rams' salary cap situation, the dead cap situation. Also, what will the Rams do at the linebacker spot? Do they need to be a little more aggressive than they're being right now? And Jimmy G is back for the Rams, but we have to start with the news that Tom Pelissero reported, and that is that the Rams have informed wide receiver Cooper Kupp that he will be released. And before we get into the financial implications, let's talk about the reaction from Cooper Kupp. Kupp went on Instagram, he went on Twitter, he posted a video that definitely could make a grown man cry. I mean, these eyes were sweating during it. It definitely gave you the feels. Those eyes were watering, cutting onions, and whatever you want to say. Definitely emotional just watching a guy that has given everything that he has to this organization. And Kupp said in his post, 8 years of incredible memories. We talked often about the Rams being back in LA and how we would grow to be something special here. And there was frustration early on around getting the buy-in from the people of LA. But we knew at the end of the day, it's all about providing moments, shared experiences, the things that parents and their children will talk about and remember forever. That is what makes the ending of these last 8 years so difficult. It's the ending of something we have enjoyed building with you. Thank you for those shared moments. Thank you, LA, for welcoming my family with open arms and allowing us to grow here. Next chapter starts now. Best is yet to come. So that message hits on a lot. The memories, the fact that he doesn't feel like he's done. He says the best is yet to come. I don't think the best is going to come as far as another Triple Crown year. And the fact that he had the best season ever, really, for a receiver. I mean, you look at the year he had in 2021, Triple Crown, Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl 56 MVP. And he does mention the memories, and that is something that no one can ever take away from you. When you talk about the most exhilarating moments you've had as a Rams fan since the team came back to LA, it's the for the love of the game route against the Bucs that kept them in that playoff run, that led to a Super Bowl. And then it's the Rams trailing 20-16 in the fourth quarter. 1:28 left to play. Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp. And that goes as the game-winning touchdown. He was essentially 95% of the Rams offense after Odell Beckham Jr. went down as far as receivers go. He was mega. He was massive. That was just a game that we'll never, ever forget. So Cooper Kupp is not going to be in the Hall of Fame, most likely, right? He won't be in Canton, but he's going to be in the Hall of Fame of Rams moments. And he's peak Rams fandom as far as just you losing your mind, going crazy, yelling, high-fiving your friends and family, hugging your friends and family, jumping up and down. I mean, that is what you think of when you think of Cooper Kupp. So you're going to have great players down the line. You're going to have future Hall of Famers down the line. And, of course, Matthew Stafford was a part of that as well because he was the guy throwing the football. but number 10 is going to pop up in your brain when you think of the happiest moments that you've had as a Rams fan, and nothing can change that. And that's what makes this so difficult, because he gave so much of his franchise. I mean, just look at that. I mean, 2021, 2,425 combined receiving yards, regular season and postseason. That's first all time. Second is Larry Fitzgerald at 1,977. Third is Jerry Rice at 1,965. By the way, all those guys ran 4.6 40s or above, so 40 time, a little overrated. But, yeah, I mean, that's just incredible stuff from the Triple Crown winner. And other questions is, what does this mean for the Rams salary cap situation? What does this mean as far as the implications to what they can do to future moves and how that impacts the roster construction? Well, the first thing the Rams did was try to find a trade partner for him. They would have saved money. They would have gotten a draft pick. They were unable to do that. That just never materialized. It would have been nice, save more money, get a draft pick, but it just did not happen. But they will still get some cap relief. They designated him as a post-June 1st cut, so they're going to save $15 million this year with a dead cap charge of $14.78 million, and that won't get added to cap space until after June 1st. So they would also add $7.48 million in dead money to the 2026 cap. So look, you look at it as a whole, he's going to be 32 in June. He carried a $29.78 million cap hit for 2025. That's the number one reason why they wanted to move off of him. And by doing that post-June 1st cut, they're going to save the $15 million in cap space. I mean, they'll take on the dead cap of $14.78 in 2025, and like I said, $7.48 million in 2026. So you're not going to get that cap relief until June, but still you are going to get the cap relief. And yeah, ideally you would have found a team out there that thought of Cooper Kupp so highly that they wanted to make it where he didn't hit this option for him of being able to sign with any team. But that just wasn't the case. And unfortunately, it's just because of the lack of production that we've seen out of him for the last couple of seasons, and just his inability to stay healthy. I mean, he has missed a ton of games since that Triple Crown season where he played all 17 games. He's missed 18 games of 51. So that's an issue. Then you look at just the yards per catch and some of the ADOT stuff, some of the things that will indicate that he has lost a step or two as a receiver. And that's why the Rams were in this situation. They realized that, hey, we're investing a lot in continuing on with Matthew Stafford. So you don't do that unless you feel like you can win a Super Bowl with him and contend. And they looked at this receivers room where they hit on Puka Nacua as a elite wide receiver. Well, you needed to pair him with more firepower, and that's why they went out there and got Devontae Adams, and now they feel better about their receivers room. So, yeah, it's just a tough part of the business. It's brutal. You look at his career, 8 seasons, 634 catches, 7,776 yards, 57 touchdowns. And he led the NFL in receptions, 145 receiving yards, 1,947, 16 touchdowns in 2021. Won that Triple Crown Offensive Player of the Year. We will never see that again. Puka Nacua is great. We're never going to see what we saw from Cooper Kupp in 2021. It was a moment in time. It was a moment where you're just, what the heck did we just watch? Every single game. So much production, leading the league in yards per game, leading the league in so many offensive categories. And yeah, I think that the Rams should retire number 10. I hope no one ever wears number 10 ever again for the Rams. And even though he won't be in the Hall of Fame based on where his numbers are at, maybe he does. Maybe he has a healthy 4 or 5 years somehow, wins the Super Bowl, another Super Bowl MVP. I mean, there is a path to him getting to the Hall of Fame. It's unlikely based on his production because he's missed time. He's missed a significant amount of games throughout his career. But there is a world where, who knows, maybe he does end up at Canton based on, he says the best is yet to come. So in his world, if that becomes true and you get some bounce back elite seasons, which the numbers will tell you the regression has already started, but who knows? I mean, you really want to bet against Cooper Kupp? I mean, 3rd-round pick out of Eastern Washington. goes from that to a Super Bowl MVP. You can't doubt the guy. And, we'll see where he ends up. But I'm going to root for him in every game except against the Rams. Let's just put it that way. I hope he has a lot of success. And the Rams, I think, showed in this that they're a mature organization. You didn't make the emotional play. You didn't just keep a guy because of what he did for you years ago. You didn't keep a guy just because he's a fan favorite. He's a locker room favorite. He's essentially a coach on the field, he's an extension of what Sean McVay did. So you didn't keep him for those purposes. And look, I don't think there's anyone that can say today that the Rams receiver room isn't better with Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp moving on. You weren't going to do both. You weren't going to have both on this team. But, it's sad. Like I said, I got the news and I fell to my knees in a Chipotle, and it definitely hurt. But, once a Ram, always a Ram. And they're going to have, a strong relationship, hopefully, whenever his career is over. But that is going to do it for this segment. And we're going to move on. And we're going to talk about the linebacker spot, what the Rams need to do there. And also, Jimmy Garoppolo is back as a Ram. He reveals why he re-signed with the Rams. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Surprising insights. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. All in one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. It's easy to collaborate as well. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available on YouTube, so do me a huge favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, podcast listeners, if you want to write us a review, that really helps. And also, this is a perfect time to join the Everyday Listeners Club. You listen Monday through Friday, you watch Monday through Friday, every single episode of Locked On Rams, and then that way you're not missing a thing about your favorite team. And what a time to be a Rams fan. I mean, it feels like they're right at the top of all the league's top storylines, whether it be Matthew Stafford, whether it be big free agents, whether it be releasing Cooper Kupp. The Rams are always one of the top teams when it comes to making headlines. And you got the draft to come, and we're still talking about free agency, and this team is all in on 2025. So it's 2021 feels all over again. We just talked about that. They're trying to do it again this upcoming season. But here in our second segment, first let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo because he is back as the Rams' backup quarterback. He signed a $11 million deal. You got incentives in that deal. And he talked about why he wanted to return to this Rams organization, because he said he got other offers from other teams, but he said the Rams came with a strong offer. I love the people here. I love my teammates. I'm at the point in my career where those are the little things that make the difference to me. He mentioned that he's had strong relationships with the core players of this team, and he's had great relationships with the front office and the coaches, Les Snead and Sean McVay, and that's clearly why he wanted to come to the new terms, and why he wanted to find a way to get a new deal done. Just because, look, he's made some money, a good amount of money throughout his career. There's not teams out there that are knocking on the door to offer him a job as a starting quarterback, and he's not going to go the Baker Mayfield route, right? That just wasn't in the cards for Jimmy Garoppolo at this stage of his career. So what's the next best thing? Be a backup quarterback with a great organization where you're going to get paid your value for playing that position, and you have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And Matthew Stafford is the most important player on the team, but if Matthew Stafford ever missed a game, they're in a much better spot than they were, right? We lived through Brett Rippon, right? If you're watching this, you lived through Brett Rippon as a Rams quarterback, where he was awful against the Packers on the road a couple of years ago. Now you got a professional quarterback. Look, he played in just one game for the Rams. It was week 18. They lost to the Seahawks. They had a chance to win at the end. Threw for 334 yards. That was the most yards by any Rams quarterback in the regular season, more than any game that Matthew Stafford had. That's not to say he was better than him or anything like that, but it is to say that he can go out there and be productive and be prolific with it as well. He also would say, I've been in a couple of good organizations, seen how things are run, and Sean McVay does it top-notch here. He and all the coaches are so well tied together. They're all thinking the same. When you have an organization that does that, it makes things even easier. It's hard enough to win this league, so not to have to worry about something like that, it goes a long way. The organization plays such a key role for me, the people and how things are run. Sean and Les at the top set the tone for the whole building, and they think very similar to me. That was a big part of my decision. So, yeah, like this is, hey, the Rams are a great organization, and you already know that, and this is another example of why they're able to get value in quality, right? Because this is a free agent destination. You're in Southern California, you're in Los Angeles, you play in SoFi Stadium, there's all those advantages, but those don't mean anything unless you have the coaches and the front office executives and people that are running this thing at such a high level. So you get guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, former starters, former guys that have been productive in this league as your backup quarterback. And you got to give a lot of respect to this Rams organization for just investing more in that position, taking it more seriously than what we saw Perkins and guys like that. It just, the backup quarterback spot was a position that left a lot to be desired, right? I mean, Stetson Bennett wasn't going to be that guy, and you just go out there and you get a true veteran. And look, this season is all predicated on the health of Matthew Stafford and the offense, the defense, and you're not going to win the Super Bowl without Stafford as your quarterback. Let's just be 100% honest about that. But if there is a game in the regular season here and there that Garoppolo has to come in, he could be the difference between winning and losing. That could be the difference between a NFC West title, could be the difference between home field advantage, all those little things that make a big difference in the course of a Super Bowl run. So let's not forget that. And yeah, it's just good to have him. Also, too, how about his relationship with Davante Adams? I mean, that's kind of cool, right? That little reuniting right there. He kind of understands Davante Adams. I'm sure it's nice for Tate to have a familiar face in the building. And for everything I've heard, too, he's just a very well-liked guy. And he's tough to not to like, right? I mean, Jimmy G, he's got that personality, that winning personality, and he's popular with his teammates. So got to give him a lot of credit for that. But coming up next, we're going to talk about that linebacker position. What will the Rams do? Because they still have some work to do in free agency. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Picking my favorites. I've got my eye on a couple underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. And you stay in the action. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. You can get the Cinderellas. You can get the top seeds. There's so much action, so many games to stay locked in with, and it's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use. When I win, I get paid instantly, and there's no waiting around. You get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But here in our third segment, we're going to talk about what the Rams still need to do in free agency. And one of those things that is top of mind right now is adding at the linebacker spot. Now, last season, Chris Shula, he made the most of what he had. You had Christian Roseboom, you had Omar Spades. They had their moments, and Roseboom definitely grew into someone that was productive for this team. Roseboom led the team with 135 combined tackles, but he signed a one-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be gone, but they need to fill that role. Roseboom, he started 11 games in 2024. He definitely improved as the year went along. He had 1 sack, an interception, 4 pass defended, and he also had 15 combined tackles in the 2 playoff games. So this is someone they relied upon. Omar Spades, a lot of talent, a lot of production for his age, but he still is raw. He's still young, and he's still looking to improve. And look, they need to improve that position. Troy Reeder is another guy that was on the roster. He's a free agent. You also have Jacob Hummel. Now, re-signing Reeder is an option. That's something they could consider, but I think it's more likely that they're going to look to add externally to fill that spot on the roster, and you need to. I mean, you can get by without some Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker. That's not what they're looking for, right? I mean, especially in Chris Shula's defense, that's not the most important thing to have. It's not most important position of need. But I do think there's a world where you can get better at that spot, and that can really take this defense to another level as far as just the overall quality of it and limiting the holes in that defense like we saw. I mean, you definitely want a guy that can stop in the run game and go sideline to sideline, the guy that has some range, the guy that can give you some help in coverage and defend tight ends and guys coming over the middle. So there are ways to improve at that position. And the other thing to consider too is the linebacker market in the NFL, this free agency, it's drying up pretty quick. A lot of Rams fans wanted Dre Greenlaw. He signed with the Denver Broncos. Robert Spillane, previously with the Raiders, he goes to the Patriots. Jamie and Sherwood, he would have been a really nice fit. He's someone that could certainly have improved that position for the Rams. He signs back with the New York Jets. So there's not a ton of options that are available, but the name that I think the Rams should highly consider is someone who played his college ball in Southern California, the great Eric Kendricks out of UCLA. Kendricks was one of the only positives from that Cowboys team last year. And he played great. I mean, he was the 14th best linebacker in the league, according to PFF. So, I mean, like, he's above average. I mean, can he get back to great? I mean, that's kind of a debate, but he's someone that definitely is an above average linebacker based on last year's production. I think the hole in his game last season, he had 17 missed tackles throughout the year. And from a coverage standpoint, he can still get it done. I mean, I think that Eric Kendricks, I would strongly consider making that move and adding him, a character guy who's one of the team leaders, really one of the best players in the Vikings for a long, long time. And now he's kind of taken on this journeyman role. He's still 33 years old. And if you're the Rams and you're looking at this defense, look at the youth. You've got guys like a Kobe Turner who's emerging into this elite player, potentially someone that is going to be a foundational guy for your defense for years to come. Byron Young, Jared Verse, an absolute beast his rookie season. You've got Braden Fisk. There's a lot of young talent on this roster, so it wouldn't hurt to add someone that has some veteran experience. And I think from a culture standpoint, Eric Kendricks is someone who checks off a lot of boxes, and I really do think that the Rams should consider it. I really, really do. I mean, that position, like I mentioned earlier, last year there was some frustration there. You had Ernest Jones. He gets traded, and you wonder, wait a minute, is that going to have a massive negative effect on this Rams defense? And Chris Shula answered that question. And I think that's something that's not really being talked about enough either, is you lose Raheem Morris to the Falcons as a head coach. You get Chris Shula. People out there, oh, he's just getting the job because he's Sean McVay's buddy from college. Oh, he's just getting the job because his last name's Shula. And then the Rams defense, they start out, they don't look great. Look at the second game against the Cardinals where they get blown out. And you're like, wait a minute. Is this the move? Are the Rams going to have to look for a new defensive coordinator? And then boom, he makes some adjustments. He figures things out very, very quickly, faster than I think anyone could have anticipated. And now it looks like they have a future head coach in Chris Shula, and you are just loving every single minute that you have with this guy, knowing that the production, the performance, his ability to put this Rams team in optimal positions, even though there's a talent deficiency. I mean, you look at the Rams defense, they were the lowest paid in the sport last year, and he was able to help them. I mean, the run defense wasn't great, and there were some holes, and we'll kind of do a full breakdown of that at some point this offseason after free agency. But the truth of the matter is he could be even better if you give him more talent at multiple positions. So I think that's something that the Rams and Rams fans need to know about all this is you want to win a Super Bowl this season because Chris Shula, you got a really, really talented defensive coordinator who teams are going to come calling for, and a head coaching job is right around the corner. So let's not lose sight of that fact. So, yeah, they got to fix that linebacker spot. Eric Kendricks is a name that I'm definitely on board with for sure. And you did a lot already. I mean, you solidified the backup quarterback position. You got that wide receiver, that playmaker that you needed. The defensive line, we talked about it yesterday with Ford. I mean, that was a massive move. I mean, there's a lot of things that they've already done. I mean, the tight end spot, I think you could address in the draft with potentially a Colston Loveland. I mean, could you trade it for a Tyler Warren? But I think that there definitely is a move to be made there. The right tackle spot is definitely a move, and the cornerback spot is a move that are going to need to be addressed too, whether that be in free agency or the draft. That remains to be seen. But going out there and making sure that Chris Shula has everything he needs to not only just be successful, but to make this Rams defense what it was last season, which was the strength. I mean, they were a strength when they looked like they were going to be a liability, and that was the same case the year before that. So, I mean, I think people look at the cost and the per-player salary that the Rams defense has, but the truth is you got a lot of really talented guys that are on rookie deals, guys that they've hit on. So credit to what they've done in the draft, but it's time to add some vets. I mean, Super Bowl winning teams, they have veterans, and I think the defense certainly could use a little infusion of that. That's not to say the guys currently that are the young playmakers, that the guys that are out there like Kobe Turner, that Quinn Lake is another guy, great high character guy, but a good combination of both, I think, is what this team could use to make them even better and increase their chances of winning a Super Bowl. So, yeah, give me Eric Kendricks. Bring the Bruin back home. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.